Hello, welcome to Algebra 1 Part 2. This is your EOC or end of course review, or it can be for your final exam review. So in the first part of this lesson, we've gone over the first 25 set of questions. In this part, we're going to go over the remaining 25 set of questions. So if you need to go over the first part, go ahead and do so, and we'll go ahead and begin. So we're going to begin here at number 26. So the question asks us, which expression is equivalent to 2x times the quantity 4x squared minus x minus 5? So what we have to do here is distribute this 2x. Let me change the color back. So we have to distribute this 2x to each term within the parentheses here. Okay, and we'll take one step at a time. And remember, keep this in mind. As you're multiplying and you have exponents involved, you have to add the exponents. So starting off with 2x, well, we know we have an unwritten 1 here. So that means we're going to take 2x and multiply it by 4x squared. And in doing so, we get 8x cubed. Where did the cube come from? It came from adding the exponent of 1 and 2 together. Next, we're going to follow up by multiplying 2x times negative x. Remember, there's an unwritten 1 here. So 2x times negative 1x. So notice there's an unwritten 1 here because it's understood that is 1, right? When you're saying negative x. So 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. We have the exponents that we're going to add together. 1 plus 1 is 2. So therefore, this is negative 2x squared. You can stop it here. You could have stopped it even here, and then as a test taking strategy, just eliminate answer choices. But for practice, we're just going through this, okay? Last but not least, we have 2x times negative 5. So we have 2 times negative 5, which is negative 10. And of course, since we have x here, we're going to append the x on the negative 10. So here we have 8x cubed minus 2x squared minus 10x, which leaves us with answer choice D. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 27. So for number 27, the question asks, which labeled point on the number line is closest to the square root of 38? So what you have to realize is that this is not a perfect square root. However, on each side of the square root of 38, we need to have a whole number. Okay, and so on the left side of the square root of 38, well, let's think of the perfect square root, and that will be 36. And the reason why is because we get a whole number of 6. So that means that the square root of 38 is 6 point something. So now when we go over to the right side of the square root of 38, well, the next perfect square root is the square root of 49. And so when we take the square root of 49, we get a whole number of 7. So there we can determine what the answer is. Okay, so if you look at answer choice A, we have D as a point, and that's at 5. So we know we can eliminate answer choice A. But let's take a look at B, and the point given is E, and that is definitely 6 point something, so we know this is the correct answer. But now let's take a look at C. So C, we have F, and that's 7 point something, so we know that's incorrect. And then D, which is at G, is 7 point something, closer to 8, so we know that is incorrect. So as stated, the correct answer is answer choice B, and that's at the point E right here, okay? So let's go ahead and move on to number 28. Number 28, a power plug has 2 pins on one side. One pin is 5.0 times 10 raised to the negative second power inches long, and the other is 3.5 times 10 raised to the negative second power inches long. What is the difference in the lengths of the pins? So here we have this keyword difference. So right off the bat, we know to subtract. And before doing so, let's take a look at the bases and exponents. And since we know that we are subtracting, we're just determining if the bases and exponents are the same. If they are, we're going to keep the base and exponent. So in this case, it is 10 raised to the negative second power. So at this point, all we have to do is take and subtract 3.5 away from 5.0, which leaves us with 1.5. And of course, this is in scientific notation, and it matches answer choice C. All right, let's go ahead and move on to number 29. Number 29, which represents the complete factorization of 6n squared plus 12n. So we have this keyword complete, okay, because you can actually factor this, but it will not be complete. So in other words, we have to make sure that this expression is completely factorized. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll go ahead and rewrite 6n squared plus 12n. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at 6n squared and 12n, and we're going to pull out what's common. So we know that a 6 is common, so we can divide both by 6. But now if you take a look at n squared and n, well, we have an n that's also uncommon. So we're going to pull out 6n. So we'll go ahead and rewrite that here. And then in your parentheses is where you're going to place your leftovers. So now let's go ahead and do a little bit of manipulation here. So we know that 6 and 6 cancels out, or the 6's cancel out. Now we are dividing n squared divided by n. Remember that we have an unwritten 1 here as an exponent. So anytime you're dividing exponents, you're going to subtract the exponents. So 2 minus 1 is 1n. So instead of placing 1n here, I'm just going to place n because it's understood to be 1n. We're working with addition, place the plus sign here. We know that the n's cancel out. And then 12 divided by 6 is 2. And so what fits this description? Well, that is answer choice C. Okay, and if you take a quick look, when we factor this back out, or we multiply this back out by distribution, you got 6n times n, which is 6n squared. And then you have 6n plus positive 2, which is positive 12n. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 30. So number 30, Central High School earned $6,500 in ticket sales for a sporting event. The cost per ticket was $15. Let T represent the number of tickets sold to the sporting event. Which of the following equations could be used to determine how many tickets were sold to the sporting event? So if you take a look at the answer choices, they're all set up with equations. So we're going to solve this problem without actually solving it, if that makes any sense. So basically, we're going to set this up as if we were solving for how many tickets were sold to the sporting event. So the first thing we're going to do is pull out what's going to help us. So we see that Central High School earned $6,500. So I'm going to underline this. All right, and then we're told that the cost per ticket was $15. I'm going to underline this. But then we're commanded to let T represent the number of tickets sold. So we'll underline this as well. Now the question asks, which of the following equations could be used to determine how many tickets were sold? So how many tickets were sold? Okay, so earned is your equals. Okay, was is your equals. And then of course, T is going to represent the amount of tickets sold. So let's go ahead and set this up. So we have earned $6,500. So we'll place equals $6,500. Okay. And then we know that the cost per ticket was $15, right? So we're going to place $15 here. But then we need to find out how many tickets were sold. But remember, it's telling us to let T represent the number of tickets sold. So it only makes sense to place T right next to your $15. Okay, because you eventually have to solve for T by dividing both sides of the equation by 15 to get T. So this is what we have here as an answer without actually solving it. And so which of these equations matches what we have here? Well, that is answer choice B, which is the correct answer. And so be careful with these types of problems because as you can see, some people would probably choose A because it looks very similar, and without really looking, they'll confuse the T, and say, oh, okay, I see 15 equals 6,500. And then they, screwed up by because the T is on the opposite side. Okay, so just be very careful with that. So let's go ahead and move on to number 31. Number 31. The function f of x equals 40 plus 30x represents the amount of money in dollars Mrs. Thomas earns for working x hours. How much money does Mrs. Thomas earn for working 30 hours? So we're going to use this function right here to help us solve how much Mrs. Thomas earns. So let's go ahead and rewrite that. So we have f of x, which is equal to 40 plus 30 times x. And I'm going to place x right inside the parentheses here. Okay, because the reason why I'm doing that is because we have to, since Thomas earns a certain amount in dollars for working X hours, then we have to replace that number, which is the number of working hours, in place of X. Okay, so it says, so in dollars, Mrs. Thomas earns, how much she earns for working X amount of hours. So since we're told that she um, works 30 hours, we're just going to place 30 right here, right where the X is at. Okay, so, and if you take a look at this 40, this is just her base amount. So she's going to get paid this regardless, okay? And you're going to add that to what she's making here. So let's just go ahead and rewrite that again. So we have 40 plus, and then we have 30 times, and we already said that we're going to replace this X with 30. Okay, and so we have f of x is equal to 40 plus 30 times 30, which is 900. So it's a total of $940, which is answer choice C. Okay, and so let's go ahead and move on to the next question, number 32. Okay, number 32. Which equation represents the relationship between time t and distance d? So as you can see, time is in t and distance is in d. Okay, and we have to find out which equation represents the relationship between time and distance. Okay, so knowing that bit of information, time and distance, well, we know that this is direct variation. And what do you know about direct variation? Well, you know that y equals k times x. Okay, so all you have to do here is just start eliminating answer choices. And we know that it's not going to be answer choice D. It's not going to be answer choice A. And then we have B and C left. Okay, and so if you take a look at answer choice B, well, we have D equals 40 times T. Okay, and we know that D is distance. And then we have 40 times T. Well, let's take a look here. So t is 2. So if we replace this t with 2, and remember we're multiplying, d equals 40 times 2, that gives us 80, the distance, right? So what about the next one? Well, we have d equals 40 times t. T is is the time 3, and then 40 times 3 is 120. So, and on we go. So we know that the correct answer is the answer choice B. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 33 now. Number 33. What is the domain of the relation shown in the table? So first of all, before you could even solve this problem, you need to know what the domain is. And so the domain is all of the x values. So if you take a look at the table and focus only on the x values, we have -7, -4, 0, 5, and 8. And so which one of these answer choices has -7, -4, 0, 5, and 8, which are all the x values? Well, it is answer choice A. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on to number 34. Number 34. For every dollar that Rodney earns, his dad deposits twice that amount into a savings account for him. Which graph illustrates this example of direct variation? So we already know that direct variation is y equals kx, okay, where k is your constant. So since Rodney's father deposits twice the amount that he earns in a savings account, well, we have to determine which graph represents that. So his dad deposits twice, okay? So this is key right here, twice, okay? And so if we take a look here, well, we know it's not answer choice A, right? Because we don't see an increase at all. It's just a straight line that's running horizontally from left to right. So we can get rid of that. Now let's look at answer choice B. Well, this is Rodney's earnings right here. So we see this starts at 0, but then if he earns $2 and his dad deposits twice that amount, well, twice that amount is multiplying by 2, right? And so we can see that 2 times 2 is 4, so that's right at here, right here. And then if we move over and Rodney earns, let's say $4, which is consistent with what we have here, and his dad is depositing twice that. 4 times 2 is 8, so we can see that's lined up right in here. And then last but not least, Rodney earns $6. His dad deposits twice that amount. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, so this is the correct answer. But let's look at answer choices C and D as well. So as you can see, C is like a little stagnant and it's not really moving up. So we can see that this is definitely not twice the amount, because if you see here, we start at 0, he makes $2, and then it's not even up at $2, right? It's not even double the amount. So we know that doesn't make any sense. And then of course we see that D is definitely has no correlation to what we're looking for here, because it's in this case it's just going down. Okay, and so that's not what we're looking for, because remember, the account is going to increase, not decrease, if his dad gives him twice the amount that he earns. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 35. Number 35. Which of the following sets of ordered pairs is a function? So just remember that a set of ordered pairs, in order for it to be a function, the x values do not repeat. Okay, so if the x values do not repeat, the ordered pair is a function. So let's go ahead and look at answer choice A. So we have 5, 4, 5, 6. So this is not the correct answer because we have the 5s repeating, okay? Answer choice B, we have 4, -3, 9, -3. The -3 values are repeating, and those are both, let's see, X. So that's incorrect. Answer choice C, we have 3, -4, 6, and 5. So we know that this is a function because we do not have any repeating X values. And then let's look at D. We have 7, -4, 12, -4. And we know that this is not a function due to the repeating of -4. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 36. Number 36. What is g of 2 for g of x equals -1/4 x cubed plus 4x? So since we have g of 2, what we're going to do is anywhere we see x, we're going to replace it with a 2. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm not going to worry about the function here. I'll just leave it as g of x equals, and then I'll place -1/4 times, and then we know that we're working with 2. So I'll place that in the parentheses, and that is cubed plus 4 times 2. All right, and so here we have an exponent. So let's go ahead and work with that first. Let's bring everything else down. So we have -1/4 times, and then we're multiplying 2 3 times. So 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So we're going to place 8 in the parentheses, plus 4 times 2 we know is 8. So we can just go ahead and solve that. So now we have multiplication here. So remember that we need to multiply first before adding. So we have -1/4 times 8. So we know that 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 8 twice. And so that leaves us with -1 times 2, which is equal to -2. And then you bring down your +8. And so -2 plus 8 is equal to +6. Okay, and that is answer choice C. Let's move on to number 37. Number 37. What is the domain of the function shown? So what you have to realize is that we have this keyword domain, and we know that domain are all of the x values. So taking a look here, well, we always have to start from left to right, and those will be all of our x values. So at this point, we have x value at -3. And then when we move over to the right, our x value starts at +6. So you can look at this as saying -3 to +6. So let's just say hypothetically that you didn't have this less than equals to x and this less than or equals to. Well, just read it as -3 to +6. Which answer choice is that? Well, that is answer choice B, which is the correct answer, by the way. So we have -3 is less than or equal to x, x less than or equal to 6. Okay? So answer choice B is the correct answer choice. And let's move on to number 38. Number 38. Which graph best represents a direct variation? So you know that direct variation is y equals kx. Okay, and this symbolizes that the point goes through 0, 0. Okay, so which one of these graphs represents the direct variation, or which one crosses through 0, 0? And as you can see, it's not answer choice A, it's not answer choice B, it's not C, but it is D, right? Because it goes right through the origin, 0, 0. Okay, let's move on to number 39. Number 39. What are the range values of the function f of x equals negative 2x squared plus 2 for the domain values negative 3, 0, and 2? So here we're working with this function, and in order to determine what the range values are for these domain values, we have to place these values in this function right here. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have f of x is equal to negative 2 times and negative 3. So we'll place negative 3 here in the parentheses, squaring that, plus 2. Yeah, so we're going to do that with 2 more. So we have equals, then we have negative 2. This time we're placing 0 in the parentheses here, squared, and then we have plus 2. Okay, last but not least, we have negative 2 times 2. So we'll place 2 in the parentheses here. That's squared plus 2. So we'll solve each of these. So we'll start with this first one right here. So we have an exponent. So negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. So we have positive 9. And that's being multiplied by negative 2. And then we're adding 2. So negative 2 times positive 9 is negative 18 plus 2. And that is equal to negative 16. So the only range values that has negative 16 is answer choice B, which is the correct answer. However, I want you to see how this is done. So let's do this for practice. So we move on to the next value with 0. So we have negative 2 times 0 squared plus 2. So we know that 0 squared is simply 0. Negative 2 times 0 is simply 0. And then 0 plus 2 is 2, which matches this here. And then last but not least, we have negative 2 times 2 squared plus 2. So we have 2 squared, which we know is 4. And then 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. And then negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6. Okay, so all of these check out. So answer choice B, as stated, is the correct answer choice. So let's move on to number 40. Number 40. Which of the following tables indicates that x and y vary directly? So x and y vary directly. Okay, so that's y equals k times x. So let's take a look at these tables. So starting with A, well, I'm going to look at this and I know that 1 times what number gives me 2? Well, that's 2. And so let's see if 2 holds up throughout. Okay, so 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. But 4 times 2 is not 12. So A is not the correct answer choice. Let's go to B. We know that 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is not 1. It is 2. So this is incorrect. And then we have answer choice C. 1 times what number gives us 5? That's 5. And then 2 times 5 is not 12, so that's incorrect. What about answer choice D? 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. And 4 times 2 is 8. So answer choice D is the correct answer. Let's move on to number 41. So number 41. The table shows the cost of a 12-inch pizza for different numbers of toppings. So we have the pizza pricing here with the number of toppings, and we see that for 0 toppings, the cost of a pizza is $16.25. But then, as you can see, the more toppings that you get, the more the price increases. So which equation gives C the cost of pizza with T toppings? Okay, so we know that answer choice A we could eliminate immediately because we know that the cost of a pizza is $16.25 regardless. Okay, B is incorrect because this is just starting off at 18.50 for a pizza with one topping, so that's incorrect. And then we have C, $16.25, which we know with 0 toppings, that's what the cost is, plus, and it gives us how much it costs for each topping, which is $2.25. And depending on how many toppings you get, you're going to multiply it by T. So this is the correct answer choice. And of course, the answer choice D does not make any sense because you have $23 and you're subtracting $2.25 times the amount of toppings from that. So that doesn't make any sense. Okay, so answer choice C is it. And we're going to move on to number 42. Number 42, which graph best represents the function g of x equals x minus 2 times x plus 4? So as you can see, we have this function, and what we're going to do is set this function equal to 0. So what we're going to do is set x minus 2 equal to 0, and we're going to set x plus 4 equal to 0 as well. Okay, and so when we add 2 to both sides, x equals positive 2. And then this should be 0 right here. X plus 4 equals 0. And then when we set x plus 4 equals to 0 and we subtract 4, we have x equals negative 4. Okay, so our x values are at x equals 2 and x equals negative 4. So we're going to have a parabola. So what we're going to do is eliminate answer choices C and D because these are not parabolas. So now let's take a look at answer choice A. Well, we can see that with this parabola, we have the x value at negative 4 here. And then we also have x value at positive 2. So this is the correct answer choice A. So let's move on to number 43. Number 43, what is the sum of these matrices? So we have 2 of these matrices that are being added together. So let's go ahead and begin. So as you can see, we have 0 being added to 7. So just take a look here. We have a plus sign here, and that's why we're adding. Okay. So 0 plus 7 is equal to 7. So right away, what I'm going to do is eliminate answer choices A and B. The reason why is because we have negative 7 here, and we have 12 here. And notice in C and D, we have 7 here as well as 7 here. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on. So we have 3 plus negative 4. And so we know that is negative 1. So we still don't know whether it's C or D. Let's move on. Now we have negative 2 plus positive 9. So negative 2 plus 9 is positive 7. So here we have our answer, which is answer choice C. So you just continue on with this process throughout, okay? So we won't waste any more time on that. And let's go ahead and move on to number 44. Number 44. The table shows high temperatures for 4 Virginia cities during 1 week in April. Which city had the greatest mean high temperature during this week? And so here we have this chart which shows the high temperatures for April, and they're in degrees Fahrenheit. And as you can see, we have Falls Church, Virginia, Portsmouth, Radford, as well as Virginia Beach. And notice we have each day that the temperatures were recorded. Okay, and so we have a total of 7 temperatures. All right, and so in order to find the greatest mean, we have to add all of the temperatures up and divide them by 7, okay? So notice we have the greatest mean temperature. So that's what we're looking for. Which city had the greatest mean high temperature, okay? So let's go ahead and add these values up. So starting with Falls Church. Well, here we're just going to add up the temperatures, divide by 7, and then we're going to round to the nearest tenth to get somewhat of an accurate representation. Okay, so this is 63.6. And then we move over to Portsmouth and we have 68.3. Bradford is 61.4. And lastly, Virginia Beach is 68.7. So the city which had the greatest mean high temperature during that week in April is Virginia Beach, which is answer choice D. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 45. Number 45. Which equation most closely represents the line of best fit for the data in this table? So as you can see, we have a table with X and Y values. And so these are points. All right. And so if you take a look at the answer choices, we have to choose the best equation that represents the line of best fit. So what I'm going to do is select 2 points out of this table. So I'm going to choose 1, 4 as well as 2, 6. Okay. And so as you know, to find the slope, we're going to use the slope formula, which is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. And if you've seen any of my previous videos, then you know that what we're really doing is just subtracting y values from y values and x values from x values. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll go ahead and take 1, 4, stack that on top of 2, 6. But then what we're doing is subtracting the values, right? So if you take a look here, we have 4. So remember, this is y value. This is the second y value, right? So we can just easily say 4 minus 6 is equal to negative 2 over, and then we have 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And so you know a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is a positive 2. So if you take a look at the answer choices and take a look at this slope, or m, it's 2, right? So this is a positive number. So we know that the slope is not negative in any way, shape, or form. So we can right away eliminate answer choices A and B. And then if you take a look at C, well, we have a value that's less than 1 because we have a proper fraction. So that's incorrect. Answer choice D is the correct answer. And the reason why is because we have an improper fraction. This value is greater than 1. And even though it's not exactly 2, we have to find out which equation most closely represents the line of best fit. And so in this case, it is y equals 5/4 x plus 3. Answer choice D. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 46. Number 46. Tom played 15 football games in each of the 2 cities near him. The box and whisker plot summarizes the game stats from each city. So we have a box and whisker plot for Bridgeport and one for Murfreesboro. And then it says the game stats from Murfreesboro have a greater range than Bridgeport, median equal to 12, mean equal to 20, or lower quartile equal to the lower quartile for Bridgeport. So what can be said about Murfreesboro in relation to Bridgeport? So as it states here, we need to determine which is the correct answer choice, right? Because like I said, the box and whisker plot summarizes these game stats here. So if you take a look at the lower quartile for each one, for each city, they're both at 5. Okay, so we can take a look to see what the lower quartiles, what's mentioned for lower quartiles in the answer choices. So this is actually the right answer, answer choice D, because it says lower quartile equal to the lower quartile for Bridgeport. So Murfreesboro lower quartile is equal to the lower quartile of Bridgeport. So that's the correct answer. And then if we take a look at A, it says greater range than Bridgeport. So if we take a look at the range here, so we have, let's see, 18 minus 5. Okay, that's 13. And then at this range, we have 20 minus 5. So right off the bat, we know this is not even the correct answer choice. And then median equal to 12. Let's see. So we have, so we can see that that's incorrect as well because we have median that's equal to 12 here, but not here, right? And then mean equal to 20, which we're not able to determine that from the set of data points that's listed here in the box of whisker plots. So answer choice D is the correct answer as stated. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to number 47. Number 47, so we need to subtract the values of these two matrices. Okay, so what is the value of these two matrices that are being subtracted? So we have minus right here, which is telling us that they are being subtracted. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have 3 minus negative 6. So 3 minus negative 6. So remember, anytime you are working with these types of numbers right here, you can go over to the side if it makes it easier for you, and you can say 3 minus negative 6 and place the negative 6 in parentheses so that way you're not confused. Or if you know to just add a plus sign like this, you can go ahead and do that as well. Okay, and so you know that answer is positive 9. So right away, we can go ahead and eliminate answer choices. So we can eliminate answer choice A, and we can eliminate answer choice D. Okay, all right, and so let's move on to the next one here. So this time we have negative 6 minus 2. Okay, so off to the side, I know this is difficult for a lot of people. So we have negative 6 minus 2. Okay, so that means we're adding two negatives together. Okay, so that's like saying negative 6 plus negative 2, which is negative 8. Okay, and so we can see that is listed here in answer choice B. So we know that answer choice C is incorrect. Okay, for practice, we can go over this a little bit more. So we have 0 minus 5. Okay, so you can probably do that in your head. We'll write it down still just in case. 0 minus 5, which is equal to negative 5. Okay, and next we have 9 minus negative 4. Again, go ahead and write that down. 9 minus negative 4. Bringing two negatives together. That's 9 plus 4, which equals 13. All right, and let's move on to the next one here. And so we have 0 minus 2. 0 minus 2 we know is negative 2. Last but not least, we have 9 minus negative 2. 9 minus negative 2. Bring those two negatives together, making a positive, and that's equal to 11. Okay, so this is answer choice B as stated. All right, and let's go ahead and move on to number 48. Number 48, which is most likely the equation of the line of best fit for the set of data points. So here we have all of these data points here, And what we're going to do is see if we can draw a straight line through some of the points. And remember, anytime you're drawing a line of best fit, you're going to have some points above the line as well as below the line. So you're going to draw a line that will get close to the points as much as you possibly can. So let's go ahead and draw a line. So I'm going to start here, and it'll probably go through a couple of points. Okay, and so as you can see, the line is going downward. So this is a negative slope. So right away, we can eliminate answer choices containing a positive slope, which are answer choices A and B. Next thing we're going to do is find the slope. So what I'm going to do is select 2 points, and I'm going to select the point here as well as this point here. Okay, and so when we take a look, this is at 3, 7. Okay, so we'll place 3, 7 here. And the second point right here is at 6, 5. So 6, 5 is here. Yeah, so the slope equation, m is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x of 2 minus x of 1. So we can go ahead and plug in these values where the variables are. But what I'm going to do, if you've seen any of the other previous videos, I'm going to stack these points on top of each other and subtract them. Okay, so we have 3, 7 over 6, 5. And so remember, I'm subtracting. So I'm going to subtract the y values, and then I'm going to subtract the x values. So starting with the y values, I know 7 minus 5 is positive 2. That's going to go on top. And then we have our x values. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. And so we have negative 2/3. Okay, so it's either answer choice C or D. And so remember, the question asks which is most likely, so it's not going to be exact. Okay, and so that is answer choice C. And the reason why is because this is a proper fraction, and this is a proper fraction. Okay, and so answer choice D is out. All right, and we'll go over number 49. Number 49. Ty worked part-time at a bowling alley. The amount of money Ty earned for each of 6 weeks is shown. So we have $60, 100, 58, 60, 52, and 85. And then it says Ty then earned $45 for working a 7th week. How were the mean and median affected? So we're looking for the mean and median. So what we're going to start off doing is looking for the mean. So let's go ahead and set this up. So I'm going to place the values in order from least to greatest. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to figure out the mean for the 6 weeks first. Okay, so we have 52, then we have 58, 60, 60, 85, and 100. And so looking for the mean, we have to add these values together. And so when we do so, we get 415. Okay, and don't forget that we have to divide by the number of values there are, and there are 6. And so that equals 69.17. So far we know that the mean is 69.17. But now, since we have these numbers arranged in order from least to greatest, we can go ahead and determine what the median is. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So we have 52 on this side, then 100, 85, 58, and then we have 60 and 60. So we know that 60 and 60 is 120. and we have to divide 120 by 2, which gives us 60. So therefore, our median value is 60. So we'll place 60 right here, and we'll say that's our median. So place that right here. Okay, so remember, these are for the 6 values, but let's not forget that Ty also earned $45, during the 7th week. So what we can do is arrange these numbers in order from least to greatest. And so let's go ahead and just place the 45 here. Okay, and then we'll just go ahead and cross off as we normally would. And so we have the 45 crossed off here, and then we have the 60 crossed off here. And so we see that we have the median value is 60. So that's the same. So we know that the median is 60 in both cases. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop right here for a moment and take a look at the answer choices to see what we can eliminate. So the median remained the same. So let's see which one actually says that. So the mean decreased and the median remained the same. So far we know this checks out. The median decreased, so we know that this is not going to be correct because remember, the median did remain the same, so we can eliminate that. Then C, the median and the mean both remain the same. We know they're the same. The median is the same, so we'll hold off on this one. So far this is checking out so far. Okay, and then let's see for D, the mean and the median both decrease. Well, we said that the median remained the same, so we can eliminate answer choice D. Okay, so now what we need to do is, since we have the $45 here that's added here, we need to add $45 to the 415 because this 415 came from the total values from this the 6 values here. So let's go ahead and add that. And then we can go ahead and determine the answer. So we have 415 plus 45. Okay, and so this gives us a value of 460. So 460, and then we have to divide by 7. And so 460 divided by 7 is 65.71. So that means that the mean is 65.71 for the 7 values, and then for the 6 values we have 69.17. So what happened was the mean decreased. Okay, and so that means that the correct answer is answer choice A, because it says here that the mean decreased and the median remained the same. Okay, so and then answer choice C is not the correct answer because the median and the mean both remain the same. That's not true. Okay, because the mean is different from the mean here. Okay. So answer choice A is it. And let's go on to the last question, question number 50. Number 50, a sports league charges $80 per person to register and participate for each sport. The table shows the actual numbers of people registered for soccer and football by age range. And so we have the sports league registration table here. So we have the ages here, and then we have the soccer and football. Okay, then the question asks, which product represents the registration fees paid for soccer and football by age range? Okay, so we have matrices down here, and we're going to select this the correct one that has the information that we're looking for. So of course, again, it says which product represents the registration fees paid for soccer and football by age range. Okay, so as you can see, every matrix has the $80 for the fee, right? So We see that, but now we have to look for the fees that were paid for soccer and football by according to the age group. Okay, so if you take a look at this, we have the age ranges here: 5 to 7, 8 to 10, 11 to 13. And then, of course, we have the soccer players, which are a total of 330 for this age group, 310, 160. And then for football, we have 260 players, 145, 110, according to age group. So right away, I'm going to eliminate answer choices A, because A is just showing the soccer players, as you can see here. Actually, it looks like it's just showing, like, yeah, I'm sorry, the football players, and then answer choice B is just the soccer players. C is just showing the age group, as you can see here. So it's got to be answer choice D, because we have the soccer players here on this side, okay, according to the age group, right? Because 5 to 7 for soccer players, 330, 310, 160, and then of course football we have here in this column, and the age ranges 5 to 7 is 260 that registered, and then 8 to 10-year-olds for football 145, 11 to 13-year-olds 110. So answer choice D is the correct answer. Okay, so just take your time with these type of questions. They look very convoluted at first, but if you take your time and work through it, it's very simple. So that's all I have here for Algebra 1 Part 2 review. Hopefully this was helpful to you, and I wish you the best of luck. Thanks for watching.